We have an active weather pattern setting up for the rest of February, and this will likely lead all the way into March. And in this pattern, we can have all kinds of weather, but our main focus in this morning's video is actually going to be snow, winter weather, and I think we're going to have a lot of it for certain areas of the country. So we're going to discuss this, get very detailed, and there'll be a couple time frames of interest that we'll get a little bit more detailed on as we make our way throughout the video. We'll start off with the western U.S. first, and then move into the central, and then move into the eastern U.S. After that, we'll kind of geek out with you guys a little bit, and then I'll round it off with today's weather. My name is Mitch. Good Monday morning. Hope you guys are doing well and having a wonderful start to your new week. Subscribe if you haven't, like the video if you like it, and of course, if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So let's start off with watches, warnings, and advisories, and we have a lot of it out west. And this is beginning to ooze into the central portions of the country too, but we got winter weather advisories in the purple shaded colors right here in these counties, winter storm warnings in this pink. We got some winter storm watches still up, a lot of wind alerts in kind of the browner shaded color counties on the map you see here, like this tan. This is wind advisories, I believe. Yeah, wind advisories. We got a lot of high wind watches, high wind warnings across this mustard and brown shaded color, and just a lot of winter weather alerts in between. These are actually red flag warnings, dry, windy. Happens a lot this time of the year, late in winter and getting into spring across the plains. We got a lot of fog across the eastern sections of the country and central areas, and we got winter storm watches for a winter storm on the way for the northern high plains and the upper Midwest, getting into the upper Great Lakes region. So it's getting very active. We knew this was coming, and today is kind of, I would say, day one of a lot of weather on the way for the western half of the country. Now, let's break down the western half of the country first. Let's go over the latest Euro. We're going to start this off with this afternoon, and we're just going to make our way throughout the next several days. And here comes our big storm system moving in right now, and the blue is snow, the green is rain, and of course, everything's elevation driven out here, so that's why it's always important to stay tuned to your local sources out here as far as weather forecasts. But we make our way into our Tuesday, our Wednesday, and the general theme that you should take away from this is that it's just going to continue to be active. Rounds of moisture riding over, and certain days will be cold enough to bring those snow levels a little bit further to the south, depending on the cold air that you got to work with out here. But as we make our way to the end of this work week into Friday, you might get a little bit of a break, but I think it will continue to be decently active. And in fact, as we make our way towards next week, and you can say this weekend now, later this upcoming weekend, we have a bigger system showing up for the West Coast, and this will move in and just continue to funnel in a ton of moisture between now and at least, I would say, all the way through the end of the month. And I'm going to stop it right here because we could have a lot of changes, but man, look at this big system moving in 10 days from now. It just continues. So, of course, if you look at the Euro Ensemble mean here, makes up 51 members, blends them all together and creates an average or a mean, and signals a lot of snow across the west. Sierra Nevada is going to get hit with feet of snow, not inches, but feet. And, we just got to watch each individual system, how much cold air drops down behind it. And we could have some of these snow levels that drop, delivers a little bit of snow, maybe all the way down to Seattle, Portland, some of these kind of valley locations. And this is just between now and the next week, by the way, guys. Salt Lake City actually has, I believe you guys have some winter storm warnings, but I think they're up right now just for your higher elevations right up the road, just east of you guys. Like I said, everything's elevation driven out here. I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on the weather out west. It's very just microclimate driven. But I mean, even some of the higher elevations of the Southern California mountains down here is going to get a lot of snow, inches, feet of snow. So a very active pattern setting up. You guys are finally getting a taste of winter. Now, in the middle of the country, I think it's going to be the northern sections of the central U.S. that stays active first. Okay, and here comes storm system number one. Models have been honking the horn at this for quite some time, and this is getting into early Wednesday morning. You got this stripe of heavy snow across North Dakota and the northern half of Minnesota, getting into the northern counties of Wisconsin to the UP of Michigan. This is going to be a heavy wet snow. In fact, it can mix a little bit with some sleet and freezing rain. A little bit of freezing rain is forecast here. Then we're getting into Wednesday morning. I know it's really the tip top of your screen here. Hopefully you can see it well. It's getting into Wednesday afternoon. So this is really what's pumping out those winter storm watches right now across the northern sections of the country. And then another system's going to move through. And there's a pretty strong signal for this one too. It's not a super widespread system, but models have been honking the horn at this for a while too. And this is getting into Thursday evening, Thursday afternoon. Could get a stripe of accumulating snow across Nebraska. It's been pretty quiet the last several weeks and couple months across the middle of the country as far as any kind of winter weather, but this could bring some much needed precipitation, but it will likely be in the form of some snow across Nebraska. We got to watch out Omaha with this. Getting into Iowa, you got a 989 low Thursday night into Friday morning, and this could spin around and deliver a winter weather event across the upper Midwest, and then this moves away. We get through the weekend, we're getting into Sunday, we're getting into next Monday, and we're getting over a week from now, and it does look like it quiets down a little bit, but I really could see a pretty active pattern setting up again the last several days of February. But this is getting 300 hours. Well, I would say 250 to 300 hours out. It does show a larger system cutting through. For example, this is the last couple days of February, but it's pretty far out. That's going to change a lot. And this is the GFS. Same thing. There's this winter storm over the next 48 to 72 hours across North Dakota, northern areas of Minnesota, getting into northern areas of Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan. That flies in, flies out. And I mean, we could have winter weather just hanging out with us each and every day of this work week between now, I would say between tomorrow and the weekend across these sections up here. And then here comes our next system. It looks a little bit different compared to the Euro, but brings some snow in some similar areas. This is Thursday night, getting into Friday morning. This could spin around, deliver another winter weather event across the Great Lakes region. And then the GFS, of course, is always going to do something different. It has some southern stream energy down here, has some rain this weekend across the southern sections of the U.S., and then it delivers a snow event across areas of Kansas, northern Oklahoma, getting into Missouri. It actually delivers some snow across St. Louis Saturday night, getting into Sunday, and then that turns up and becomes a larger system for the eastern U.S., and we do have to watch a scenario like that. And then we get a week from today. Then we get into next Tuesday, the 24th, into the 25th. And I would say that, the GFS and the Euro kind of agree between the day 7 and day 10 range, maybe a break across the central U.S., but it does throw another stripe of snow next Thursday, the 26th, last couple of days, and it has a trough digging down, but it's getting pretty far out. But snowfall between now and the next 72 hours or so, Thursday morning, and it shows several inches of wet snow. This is going to be a wet snow. Once you get to these purple areas, this is over a half a foot of snow that is in the forecast. And then we let's look at the upper Midwest. And remember, this only goes out to Thursday morning, probably still snowing in areas of the UP and Michigan. But this is going to be over a foot of snow that's likely across northeastern areas of Minnesota. Duluth probably going to get a half a foot of snow, and everybody in the UP going to get at least a few to several inches of heavy, wet snow. A little bit of freezing rain as possible, a touch of freezing rain and glaze. In fact, they're going for over a quarter of an inch of freezing rain in the upper portions of the lower Michigan area. So now, as far as the signal for snow, you can see this is the first signal right here. Okay, this is where you have the winter storm watches up right now. And then you're going to see the second signal getting into later this work week, moving across areas of Nebraska, southern South Dakota, getting into areas of Wyoming, and then the upper Midwest. Okay, and then after that, it's anybody's guess. You can see the signal doesn't really strengthen a ton, but we go about 300 hours out, and the gap is filled in a little bit across South Dakota. But this is mainly from those two systems that we just discussed. One screeching across up here, and the other a little bit further to the south across the central to northern plains. Now we look at the eastern U.S., and this is starting off this Wednesday morning, 48 hours from now. That first storm system that's going to bring the winter storm across the upper portions of the country, this is also going to move into the northeast, but there's not a lot of cold air in place. So I really think you got to get up into the Adirondacks, Vermont, New Hampshire, maybe even Maine to really get any kind of winter weather from this. And I really think it kind of weakens, and then we get into Thursday, and then we get a lot of moisture bubbling up from the south. And I really think we could have a ridge flex in this time frame. This is going to deliver some very warm temperatures across the southern tier of the country. Here comes our next push of moisture, very widespread, but not a lot of cold air in place. But this could bring some winter weather Friday across the northeast, and we've already talked about the Great Lakes region, but kind of a mixed bag. Not a lot of cold air. This system's going to have to bring some of its own cold air, but the northeast is getting some snow into here, and this could actually turn into a higher impact event. We have to watch for a low pressure to develop off the coast of New England here in this setup. But this delivers some snow Friday into Saturday, some winter weather across the northeast. Could be a high impact system. And then after that, This is the time frame I am watching, kind of the end of this coming weekend into about a week from today, like next Monday or Tuesday. There's going to be a deep trough digging down, and on the euro, it doesn't connect the dots. Okay, it does show energy here, but it's not a big storm system. Has some snow kind of screeching all the way down to eastern areas of North Carolina, not nothing substantial or anything like that. Then it has a bigger, warmer system kind of funneling in behind that around day 10. GFS shows a bigger scenario with that. We'll kind of work our way into that time frame. First off, GFS is colder with the first system midway this week. Okay, brings snow as far south as Boston. And then here comes our second storm system, warmer system. All right, brings some more snow across the northeast. You can see it up there. We're getting in the Friday and the Saturday. And then here comes our main time frame that I am watching. This is getting into Sunday, deliver some snow across the Midwest into the Ohio Valley. And the low starts off right here. And by the way, this is very heavy snow Sunday of this coming weekend. And then it does kind of a transfer. And then this becomes the dominant low. And, this is like next Sunday evening, has a high impact winter storm affecting the Northeast and has snow all the way back down into the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. And this thing cranks up into a sub 980 low. And in a scenario like this could be a blizzard across southern New England. This is next Monday morning, a week from today, and this will deliver a high impact event. And this is a time frame that's been on my radar for quite some time now. And if you look at the Euro AI model, it kind of follows the GFS or vice versa, and shows a very similar setup as the GFS, and has this system around the same time frame, low pressure, much weaker, but it has the same similar look. Say around the same time frame, the timing might be a little bit different, but you got a 1040-ish high pressure coming down, funneling in some cold air. And, it's a favorable look for the Northeast. It's something we have to watch here. So what I'm trying to say here is we could certainly get about a week, give or take a day, a big winter storm for the Northeast. And we just got to watch. We got to watch for sure. But as far as the signal for snow, as we move forward, here's that first system midweek. And then later this week into this weekend, there's another signal. And then we look in that next time frame as we're getting into the later portions of this coming weekend into early next week. You can see the signal blossoms, but it's not very high for the south. It starts kind of in the upper mid-Atlantic, moves into the northeast, and you can see the stripe of snow up here to the north too. And it's not very high for the Midwest and, the Ohio Valley. But for the Northeast, winter ain't going anywhere. In fact, you extend this all the way into March and it continues to increase up here. So if you look at the pattern itself, it starts off with a trough dropping in the west. This is happening right now. And this is getting into Wednesday now. And we have this kind of extension of the trough right here. And this is some energy that continues to eject across the northern sections of the country into the Northeast. And as each piece of energy does, you're gonna have a little bit of cold air in place due to this trough right here. So as energy kind of shoots across this region, kind of runs into a little bit of a cold air source generated by this trough across Atlantic Canada. But we're not going to get too super nerding out with the details here. What I'm watching at is we're going to have a bigger system, I would say, later this week into this weekend. You can see a full kind of detachment or ejection of the trough right here, but there's not going to be a lot of cold air to work with because our cold air source is kind of leaving the picture. So we kind of have a storm system right here, but cold air source leaving, and we continue to have this trough out west. And then I just want to watch another area of energy, as what happens here is this trough right here moves right here and then amplifies and kind of becomes a new cold air source right there. And one thing that you can't see really off the upper pattern here is there's energy right here that's kind of surging in, okay? And then we have this kind of new trough kind of funneling in some cold air in place, okay? And then you're going to see this extension of blue right here. Boom, right there. That's a storm signal. And that's about a week from today, and that's that time frame I was just discussing, like the GFS showing a high impact storm system. But this would look a look like this with a trough position so far east would be more so for the Northeast. Another way to show it here, a lot of energy flying through into this work week. Here comes a piece of energy right there. But then it's this last little area of energy right here that I'm watching. Then it kind of comes in and then does something right here about a week from today. It's that last little trailing energy, and then we could quiet down just a little bit across the country after this last little push of energy. And then I think it's going to turn around and get active again. Now, temperatures, I mean, we're going to torch across a good chunk of the country. This is getting into Wednesday, getting into Thursday. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know what kind of these colors mean and what these colors mean, right? These are colder than average temperatures. These are warmer than average temperatures. The key is down here if you can read it. It's probably pretty small on your screen, but this trough that extends across the east is going to cool us down, I think, as we're getting about, I would say about a week from today. We're going to get a cool down, and then it's going to turn around and more than likely warm right back up, and the west is going to stay cold all the way through the end of the month. So today's weather, not a whole lot to talk about. I love when that happens. Let's see if we can refresh this. It's not going to take too long. It's going to take way too long. No, it's not. I just don't have any patience. But today's weather, we have a system exiting the northeast. We got some energy flying into the north. And you can tell how there is a ridge in place. I mean, quite literally, you can see where the main avenue of energy is going. It's just going just like this. Okay, and then there's a ridge built over the middle of the country where you're not having a lot of anything. But as far as today's weather, the southeast, there's nothing going on, so I didn't even pull it up. The northeast system moving away, but there's some energy that's going to funnel into the northeast. Later on tonight, this is going to deliver some snow and rain showers. I don't expect much from this, but it could deliver an inch or two of snow. This is how much snow the National Weather Service is forecasting. Not a whole lot. And then the south central U.S., not a whole lot of anything to really discuss. Energy will begin to move in from your west, though. And then the north central U.S., we do have a little bit of rain and just mixed winter weather, mixed precipitation up here in the UP of Michigan, but it's just very warm. I mean, it's crazy. You're waking up to temperatures that barely even support winter weather up here in the UP, but it's going to clear out by tomorrow morning, and then it's going to get active by later tomorrow. And then out west, this is what you're looking at. Big system moving in now, and this is going to cross over the entire Rockies and all of the western states, and it's just going to kickstart a very active pattern as we move throughout the rest of the week. And this is precipitation that's in the forecast just between now and the next 48 hours. You can tell the western states start to get lit up finally with a lot of much needed moisture. A pretty mild day in general across the west, but I'm sorry, across the east, but it's actually going to continue to warm up. So today will actually be one of our cooler days compared to what we're going to deal with the rest of the week. And then this is the western U.S. We continue to deal with very warm temperatures across the middle of the country. So, all right, that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. Sorry, guys, still feeling a little bit under the weather. Once again, I'm going to continue to say this. Thank you for people who continue to tune in. The views have just absolutely plummeted. It's actually, I'm not, man, I'm not disappointed or anything, but it's actually pretty crazy how disinterested people get when you're not talking about winter weather. I mean, we have almost 125,000 subscribers on this channel, and I think maybe 5 or 6% of people are tuning in. Maybe I would actually have to look, but the last few videos have not even come close to 10,000 views. So the percentage is definitely down there, but I mean, this happens every year. That's why, when it's very, very active, I like to put my foot on the gas and pump out as much content as possible to kind of continue to build that foundation with the channel. So even the slower times, we could have more and more people tuning in, but I do appreciate everybody who continue to tune in these very, very slow times. And honestly, it's not even super slow. That's the thing. But, when you're not talking about winter weather and the winter months, then of course it's going to just be a snooze fest for most people. So appreciate y'all so much for the people who continue to make this part of their routine. God bless all y'all, and y'all have a wonderful day.